This is Bad Movies We Love, part of the Shice Podcast Network.
Hey there, bad movie lovers. Welcome back to Dystopian December here at Bad Movies We Love. Thank you for being here with me today. As always, I am your host, Nick Scheist.
The master of this stupid stuff!
If you are playing along, you'll know that we bridged the gap from Lundgren Calling last month with Johnny Mnemonic, and from there, we sort of kept the connective tissue rolling because we went with Cyborg featuring Jean-Claude Van Damme. And as you know, if you listen to this show, the two of them are inexorably linked. But whether you've listened to this show for a long time or whether you're listening to this show for the first time,
if you're listening to this, you are the resistance.
That's right. And you can call me old-fashioned, but I still believe that the best way to help promote the show is word of mouth. Now, in the modern world, that includes things like liking and subscribing to the show on your podcast platform of choice, leaving reviews and ratings on those podcast platforms of choice. But it also includes things like sharing the show around on social media or tagging me on social media when you see a bad movie that you want to hear talked about on the show. But also, just good old-fashioned speaking to somebody else and telling them that you love the show and you think they should check it out too. That is enough housekeeping for today, because I've got a great episode on deck. This one has been on my wish list, in my periphery, always in my orbit, and I was joined by my friend, my co-host in Mutantdom over at the X-Friends podcast, Seth Vargas from the Movie Friends podcast, joins me this time to talk about Rachel Talalay's Tank Girl from 1995.
I think that the last time I checked the Rotten Tomato score on this, it was a little higher.
Like, it's very funny, but the jokes are almost too subtle and too smart.
I doubt a director's cut of this exists.
What on earth are you watching?
Tank Girl doesn't have that little voice saying, nope.
Oh, is the Kangaroo Man freaking you out?
Who approves this?
A $5,000 cock. It looked brilliant, he said.
We're not going to have a naked Ripper scene. Oh, no, it's cool. They're going to have sex and we're going to see it afterwards.
We need Ripper Dong.
Coolest lead in a movie ever.
Rebecca? Rebecca? Rebecca! Got you. You butt smear. What'd I tell you? Don't say butt smear. It's not becoming. Say asshole or dickwad.
Welcome back to the show, Mr. Big Vinegar himself, the inspiration behind Oh Sethy's old-fashioned boot brine pickles. Back in the house. What's up, Seth?
I'm here. I'm here. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? I just made some banana bread, so it smells great in the house.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, well,
Very
it's
cool.
always like I get bananas and I'm like, these are going to go in my protein shake, or it's going to be a snack after the gym. And then they just sit there getting browner and browner and browner until my only option is to make banana bread. And then other people are happy, but I have no pleasure from those bananas.
You don't eat the banana bread?
No, I mean, like sometimes I'll try it just to make sure it's good or something, but I know the recipe pretty well. So I just kind of bake loaves and then give it away.
Oh, got it. Okay. Yeah, I'm a big fan of brown bananas. People will, like, as soon as they start to get spots, they're like, oh no, it's not good. I think that's when it starts to get good.
Well, I mean, spots, yeah, but I don't want to have to squeeze the banana out of its casing like a Go-Gurt.
Bananas are, it's like the water of fruit. All forms are useful. Solid, liquid, and gas.
What I like about bananas is that when they're like underripe, they're a certain way. When they're ripe, they're different. And then when they get overripe, they're different again. So very, very versatile as a fruit. And, you know, if you refrigerate them, they might go brown and they stay good for a little bit longer. But I mean, I do love bananas. I just always mean to eat them, but end up buying them and they sit there.
Yeah. Welcome back to Banana Girl.
That's right. Banana Girl. For people that tuned in to listen to Tank Girl only to get a lecture on bananas, I'm sure they're disappointed. But yes, today we are talking about Tank Girl, which is another 1995 movie after just doing Johnny Mnemonic. This one is directed by Rachel Talalay, written by Alan Martin, Jamie Hewlett, and then the screenplay was by Sarafian. Tedi Sarafian. Stars Lori Petty, Ice-T, Malcolm McDowell, and Naomi Watts. And it boasts an IMDb score of 5.4, has a meta score of 46, Rotten Tomatoes critic score of 45, audience score of 62, Letterboxd 3.1, so right in line with the audience score there, and then a just watch score of 78. So I was almost worried as I was doing the math, was like, is this not a bad movie anymore?
Wow. Okay. That's interesting.
But clocks in with the bad movies we love. Total score of 57.8 out of 100. So still right there, but seemingly entering reappraisal territory as we approach the 30-year anniversary next year.
Nice. Yeah, I think that the last time I checked the Rotten Tomato score on this, it was a little higher. I think that has dipped a little bit. I was surprised to hear it being under 40. Letterboxd 3.1. I'm a little surprised by that, but I mean, I'm excited to talk about Tank Girl. I hadn't revisited it in a long time, and I can't remember when we first spoke about Tank Girl.
Me either. I wrote down here, I don't remember if you picked this from my wish list or if it popped up in conversation somehow. But do you remember the first time that you actually watched the movie?
I remember watching this movie several times on TV as a kid. I remember this was probably, put on Stars, or I can't remember. There were two channels. And on our cable box, they were right next to each other. It was like 28 and 29 or something like that. And I remember Stars, and then I never remember the name of the other movie streaming service. But anyway, well, I guess it wasn't streaming back then. It was cabling back then. But when they would get a movie, they would play it like all month, and so you could watch it several times. And I just remember watching it and thinking it was great. I was the youngest brother. I have 5 older brothers, and we were all into alternative comics and punk music and weirdo movies. So this was like super, super up our alley. And I just remember watching this and thinking like Lori Petty was the coolest lead in a movie ever. So yeah, I mean, I would have been, this was 95. So I probably would have been like 8 or 9 watching Tank Girl.
Wow. I mean, I also watched it on cable. I was, 95? So I was 11, but I was probably watching it when I was 12 because it needed a year to come to cable. But yeah, that old system of, hey, we're going to buy the distribution rights to this movie or the TV rights to it. We're going to spin the wax while we have it under our umbrella. And then it would kick around to the other cable channels as well, where it would maybe start on Stars, work its way to Encore, Maybe it even starts on HBO if it's lucky, but this doesn't strike me as the type of movie that HBO spent that licensing fee on early on.
They weren't rushing for Tank Girl.
They weren't, and that's sad because nobody was really rushing for Tank Girl, despite, this being a project that got off the ground pretty quickly. So let me set the table here for people that are listening to this who maybe don't know what Tank Girl is. So a year after the launch of the comic in 1988, the publisher was already looking for a studio for a film adaptation. The director, Rachel Talalay, she was working on her first feature at the time, which was Freddy's Dead, which I think at the time was the last of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, or at least it was planned to be the end. And I think it was her stepdaughter or daughter-in-law gave her the comic book, and she would read it on set, and she became interested. So she started collaborating closely with the comics creators, Alan Martin and Jamie Hewlett. And she actually brought on Catherine Hardwicke as a production designer, despite the studio not liking that decision. Tedi Sarafian comes on, writes the screenplay, and cinematographer Gail Tattersall was picked to helm the cameras. And initially avoiding any controversial content, romantic elements between Tank Girl and Booga were introduced later in the script as Booga's character evolved. MGM hosted widespread auditions for this, which included what I learn now is a stage publicity stunt involving multiple Spice Girls. So Posh, Ginger, and then I think Baby Spice all auditioned for the lead in this. Lori Petty ends up getting selected, and the director says she's got the right kind of crazy for this movie. They bring on Malcolm McDowell as well, because he was on the wish list of Martin and Hewlett as one of the people who were like targeted for an adaptation. They never thought he would get selected or even get called for the role, but he comes on. And then you've got a couple cameos with Iggy Pop and Cusack in a very small role. Filming goes on for 16 weeks in New Mexico and Arizona, including an abandoned mine, like a copper mine, I think, that required improving because there was like chemical leaks, and all of a sudden like rights were withdrawn at the last second. Principal photography concludes, I think, a couple days over schedule, but under budget. So still good job. And in post-production, the studio mandated a lot of edits, and it significantly changed the film, including removing a lot of explicit and controversial scenes and changing the ending almost completely. Talalay opposed most of the changes, which softened the film's edgier elements, and it would go on to gross only $4 million worldwide against its $25 million budget. But it did end up becoming a cult classic that, like I said earlier, has entered reappraisal territory in subsequent decades, which brings us to now.
That's right. And we're there. We're on the cutting edge of the Tank Girl reappraisal.
That's right. It's, I watched like a lot of sort of like featurettes and interviews and some behind the scenes stuff. And one of them was an interview with Lori Petty, and she still loves this movie. She's like, it was great. Like, we were way ahead of the curve at the time. Like, people just didn't understand it. She still has props, I think, from the film as well. So this is a character that's very near and dear to her. And the way she described it is that she really wanted it to not be Lori Petty's Tank Girl, because at the time she's coming off already the success of A League of Their Own, and she was in Free Willy, I think, right before this too. So like, her stock is as high as it's going to be probably in her career going into this movie. And she didn't want to use that to make it her movie. She wanted to use that to service the character of Tank Girl. And I mean, I think she's fantastic in this movie, and I think ultimately ended up being the right choice.
Definitely. I think she's great in this. I can't speak to whether or not she's a great tank girl a la the comics. I have not read the comics. This might be a totally different thing. And I almost enjoy, I would almost enjoy this more knowing that it wasn't connected to anything and it was just a totally insane idea that someone came up with. But obviously, we know that the comics exist. So I can't speak to that. But as far as the movie goes, she's very funny. She's very entertaining. She commands every scene that she's in. I really found her to be like a live action cartoon, almost like Bugs Bunny. Like this really reminded me of it really reminded me of a movie that I know that you really, really love, which is Fifth Element. In Fifth Element, you have a lot of aliens, humanoid aliens, alien aliens. So you've got a lot of prosthetic work going on. You got some big puppets, and that one is more, space faring, where this is, fully earthbound. But you've got a evil, rich guy,
charismatic evil business tycoon.
Yeah, and so it's like, to me, rewatching it, I was like, oh, this is like if you put Bugs Bunny as the main character, but in the same way that when Bugs is in a scene, he's directing everything with his gaze, with his hands. He's like a magician on the stage of any scene that he's in, right? Obviously, Bugs Bunny's a cartoon, but I thought that Lori Petty had just as much command in all of her scenes. So, yeah, and then I gotta tell you, I knew Naomi Watts was in this movie. Did not recognize Naomi Watts until about halfway through this movie.
Wow. I had forgotten that she was in it. And then as soon as I saw her on camera, I was like, oh, yeah, Naomi Watts.
Mm-hmm. It was just like the dark, greasy hair and the glasses. I was like, okay, all right. And then, yeah, about halfway through, I was like, oh, my God. And I love Naomi Watts. She's great. I mean, yeah, she Naomi Watts has a great track record of picking either the absolute best movies to be in or the absolute worst movies to be in. And there's no in between with her.
Well, she is ashamed of this movie. But nice to see that while she is, Lori Petty is not. So it kind of balances out. And I could see Naomi Watts was coming from really like smaller stuff at this point. This was like a big studio project for the first time for her. And to look back on it and to like see that it fails and to see that it ends up making Siskel and Ebert's worst of 1995 list, along with two other movies, one of which is a Hall of Fame movie on the show, Waterworld, and the other one, Judge Dredd, I'm going to cover at some point. I don't think there's any way I can't. That's absurd.
Judge Dredd rules. I just want to say it was Rob Schneider's best work ever, including Saturday Night Live, I think. Truly.
I mean, I love it. You're giving me a movie where Sly and Armand Assante are clowns. They kind of look similar, but you can't convince me that they're clones.
I had put off watching Judge Dredd for years. I remember being a kid and hearing adults in my life like, oh, it's the worst. Stallone is terrible. Oh, what a bad movie. And so I just was like, okay, I'll never watch this. And then for some reason threw it on and I was like, this is fine. What? I think people don't like science fiction. I think that I think that science fiction has to trick people into liking it, where I love science fiction. I'm going to be easier on just about any story if there's science fiction elements to it, because that's the world that I want to live in,
I think
not like reality. I'm not like sitting around dreaming of living in Tank Girl's world, but those are the stories that I would want to tell. If I were a writer or something, I would tell sci-fi stories.
I think you and I have that in common because I also sort of forgive a lot of things. Just, hey, it's sci-fi. I'm already on board with whatever this weird future is you're trying to sell me on, because it's all speculative. So to me, I'm like, at least you're sort of being forced to use your imagination to create this thing that doesn't exist from scratch. And sure, you're probably going to read a lot of other influences and pull, futuristic stuff from other stories, but something like Judge Dredd, like there's so much effort that went into the set pieces and like the animatronics and just like the world that it lives in, that I can forgive it some of its really horrible things, but can also acknowledge that, yes, that's a bad movie, but it's a bad movie that I definitely want to talk about on this show at some point.
Yeah. Well, if you don't find anyone, let me know.
Okay. Well, maybe if I do, you can hop on and you can pop in via the phone system that is now active. And speaking of the phone system, we got some message. Well, we got at least one message. The other one was about a haircut, and that was not directed at me. It's just because I've absorbed somebody else's old phone number. But nice. A mutual friend of ours first messaged me on, I think it was Blue Sky, and this is our friend Shrek is Love. Appropriately, I don't think they knew that you were going to be the guest on this show.
Cool.
But they said,
love Shrek is Love.
Exactly. They said this movie and comic changed me fundamentally as a teenager and radicalized me, but also made me realize I don't think a rabbit man hybrid is a deal breaker.
Yeah.
I mean, in today's like modern dating landscape, maybe not too bad.
Sure. Hey, you never know what inventions are coming down the pike,
I'd be curious
I wouldn't
to
mind
see
being
those.
some kind of, I don't know, animal man hybrid.
What kind of animal would you choose then?
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm screen sharing. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
That's for later. Spoiler alert. You haven't done the wheel yet.
What kind of animal would I choose? That's a good question. My first thought was something small and furry, like a rabbit or a guinea pig. Like I wouldn't want to be something scaly. I don't want to fly. I have no interest in flight. So maybe just something with really strong hind quarters,
Get it?
Like a rabbit.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. If you're already like a hairy guy, then it's like the extra fur is not really going to matter that much. I don't know. I'd probably choose something like a shark. I don't know like what cross of the shark I want, but if I could have like those extra rows of teeth and just regrow them as needed, dentistry is expensive. Just
street sharks.
Yeah, busted my tooth, just pop in a new one.
Right.
It's a good one. Splice it with some shark DNA. But speaking of shark DNA, a friend of ours, Newman, called in.
Hey.
He hit the number. He dialed 1-805-285-3885 and called the Bad Movies We Love hotline. And while this transcription here that you see on the screen is not very good, let's check out that voicemail.
You have one.
It's bad. So some of the translations here are really bad, but let's hear.
New message.
Nick, we thought you could do an amazingly awesome 90s movie based on a comic book that nowhere near enough people have seen, and those who did see it upon release didn't appreciate it, and I wasn't going to call in, you fool! You beautiful, awesome fool. Hey, of course, it's Newman from the Movies for Days podcast. So excited you're doing Tank Girl. Big favorite of mine. Such a wild flick. Laura Petty being totally punk rock. Naomi Watts is allowed to be Australian. Ice-T is in this crazy rat dog outfit. Malcolm McDowell is the villain and just chewing the scenery in the best possible way. Yes, I have comics. Yes, I've read them. And yes, this is a really great film adaptation of just the overall vibe and attitude. I can't say enough good things about this movie. I really hope you guys both just love it and dig into it and have a great time with it, because that's what it's all about. It's about fun. It's about zaniness. It's about leading with your heart and art and style and being less concerned with the conventional concepts and rules of movie making and storytelling. I think this movie pushes a lot of boundaries and breaks down a lot of walls for what was, and I'm doing my bunny rabbit air quotes, allowed for movies back then, especially movies of this budget and scope. So more people should see Tank Girl. Everybody should see Tank Girl, and you guys are great for covering it. So big ups, bad movies we love. Great to see you back. Great to be talking at you once again. Have a great night. And I get a zippy line to go out on.
Brush your teeth. Thanks, Newman.
That's awesome.
Brush your
That's
shark
great.
teeth.
There you
Yeah,
go.
it was nice.
I love hearing Newman's voice.
Yeah, and honestly, if we were to sort of gamble on which one of our mutual movie people would be a Tank Girl fan, my money probably would have been on Newman.
Newman or Cosmo.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
can
going to be
see
talking to
Cosmo.
Cosmo later this month. She may not have seen Tank Girl yet, so
Yeah.
I would be
Yeah.
excited. But her and I are going to be talking about Barbed Wire, which is very similar to Tank Girl in a lot of ways.
Very exciting.
Yeah, not as funny as Tank Girl, but dystopian, trash, future, good-looking blonde in the lead, guns.
Mhm.
Yeah. She rides a motorcycle, doesn't drive a tank, but you know, you get the gist. Cool. Well, thank you, Newman, for chiming in there. I appreciate it, buddy. So we've talked a little bit about this movie so far, but aside from it being a dystopian futuristic film, I don't know that we've really given out a synopsis for this film. And since you are the guest, I'm going to give you the option of doing the honors with the synopsis haiku.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
You sweating?
No, well, I was like, oh man, a synopsis of the film, but a haiku I can do.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You ready?
I'm ready when you are.
All right. Here's my haiku for Tank Girl. Water holds power. Unseen kangaroo men fight. Tank Girl finds a ride.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one right there, my friend. Well done. Insert wooden flute music. Well, as you know, I did write a haiku, but I wrote it in like 45 seconds. So
Yes. Yeah.
this is maybe not my best work, but in hindsight, I think it's okay. So
It might be a low coup.
it might be. But for this kind of movie, I think it makes sense. All right, here we go. Becca's got a tank. Thirsty monsters in the sand. A clockwork future.
Very good.
Yeah, not great, but you know, for 45 seconds, that's solid.
It's pretty good.
Okay, well, we've talked about why we like the movie. We've heard from some other people of why they like the movie. Why do you think someone would say that this is a bad movie?
Oh, I mean, watch the movie. I'm so firmly just in a place in my life where I can fully acknowledge that something isn't great, but I just enjoy it so much anyway. I think that Tank Girl is very sloppy, and I think that if you aren't in a good mood, it probably won't put you in one. It will probably annoy you. It's kind of like when you have a group of friends. It's like, all right, we're all going to hang out together. We're going to do this thing. Oh, should we invite so-and-so? And you're kind of like, nah, maybe let's Or, it's a different kind of night. And you're like, yeah, invite so and so. They're crazy and they're wild and it will be fun and funny. But yeah, I'm curious. I doubt a director's cut of this exists. I know that they changed the ending. I know that there was a lot more like sexual content that was removed.
Oh, we'll get to that.
I'm curious how much of that would change the overall flow of the movie. Because that would be my biggest why someone would think that this is bad. It's just kind of sloppy. The scene transitions aren't very smooth. You've got two big dance sequences kind of out of nowhere. But I think that you're holding on to someone's coattails here. You're just kind of flying along for the ride. And there is a story, but the story beyond the Rippers, I don't think there's anything like truly groundbreaking in terms of the story. It's pretty point A to point Z, standard dystopian hero, corporation, government, winner, winner takes all and liberation kind of a thing.
Moral hero takes on a revenge quest.
So yeah. I if someone said that they hated Tank Girl, I'd be like, "Aw," but I wouldn't disagree with them. I wouldn't think that they missed the point, I guess.
Like,
I think that this movie is on the surface. It's here, it's there, it's loud and it's proud, and you have to just kind of accept it or not.
That's fair. I forgot that there was the big Cole Porter musical number at Liquid Silver. And so funny. As I watched it, I'm like, this is just as much a musical as All That Jazz. They both have one big musical number. And if that counts, this counts.
Well, I would say All That Jazz does have the extended like audition scene of where they're showing the musical to like the investors, and everyone is slowly getting sweatier and hotter and like nuder, like they're taking their clothes off as they're doing. I'm like, oh, these people are very comfortable with themselves and with each other. But yeah, it again, like thinking of what could have been cut and rearranged. It was like, oh, were there more large? That scene in particular, that I can't remember the name. Is this on Everybody Does It?
Let's Fall in Love, I think.
Yeah. That reminded me of the deleted scene from Dr. Strangelove, where the ending of Dr. Strangelove was originally going to be this like huge 5,000 cream pie fight where they were all going to be throwing pies at each other, and they filmed it and it ended up not going into the movie. And then Gene and I just did Salo, which is a dark, harrowing film. And that was originally going to have the opening credits was going to be the whole cast and crew doing like a dance number together. And then that kind of got cut, and now the opening credits are just like a white screen. It's much more ominous. And Tank Girl doesn't have that little voice saying nope that Dr. Strangelove and Salo had. Tank Girl was like, yeah, we're going to do this thing. It makes no sense. That scene is, I like that scene exists just because it's so stupid.
Yes, exactly. And like this and not just this movie, but I think a lot of movies, when somebody with a voice says this movie's bad, a lot of people just listen to it, right? It happened with Waterworld. It happened with this. It had, like, Judge Dredd's another example. Like, when somebody like a Siskel or Ebert comes out and says like this movie's bad, you're already going into the movie being like, it was hated by like one of the most respected critics in the industry. So you're starting from a deficit, and it takes a lot to like erase that person's commentary. So I think that's one explanation for why someone would say this is bad. I think it's very easy to go into this hearing that it's bad and only seeing the bad things. However, watching it this time, I didn't realize how subtle the humor is. Like, it's very funny, but the jokes are almost too subtle and too smart. So, we talked about some of the sexually suggestive stuff that got removed, but when she first finds the tank in the hangar before her and Naomi Watts are friends, it's the Shaft theme music playing as she's admiring the cannon on this tank. And if you don't know Shaft and you don't know the theme song for it, like the idea of the joke just doesn't work at that level. So I think there's a lot of stuff like that that's really smartly funny, but it's kind of dry in the way that a lot of British humor is. And, one of the bigger problems with this movie is that it worked really well on the page when it was being written and drawn by guys from Sussex, but then putting it onto the screen and trying to Americanize it changed things a lot in terms of like how the filter of the humor had to work. So I think that's probably pretty paramount in someone's, I don't know, assessment of this movie. Like, if it's not funny to you, the movie's just not going to work as a whole, I don't think. So if you can't just appreciate the wavelength that the movie is operating on, you may not get past the very beginning.
Yeah, and I mean, look, we're dealing with a child being sold into sex slavery,
right?
That's going to be an absolute stopping point for someone being like, well, this is not entertaining. This is not entertainment. We've got Iggy Pop playing a pedophile. This is like, oh, this is a little odd. There's a lot going on. Like you mentioned, you've got English originators going to Americans by way of an Australian setting. Why is this set in Australia other than there's deserts?
Yeah. But then they filmed in New Mexico, but
they filmed in New Mexico, and so it could have been anywhere also because it's a dystopian post-apocalyptic future. So this could be upstate New York. Yeah. This could be hey, the world is not doing well. So, yeah.
That comet that hit the planet sort of did us in there for a little bit. All right, well, let's go back and take a look at the trailer. What's funny about this trailer, we'll talk about at the very end. I mean, amongst some other things, but let me grab that because this isn't a movie where I saw the trailer for it. It's a movie that I only found out about after the fact on cable.
Got it.
This episode of Bad Movies We Love is brought to you by Ripper Dinner Party.
You butterfly that dances in the mud.
The new album by Kangaroo Jazzman.
Piece of dental floss, you burn me toast.
The half-man, half-musical marsupial has all of the soothing tunes to get you through the apocalypse. So make sure to download a copy of Ripper Dinner Party wherever you get your music.
Twinkie fluid and 3 liters of high octane petrol.
Oh, yeah. And now, back to the show.
Yeah, I'm curious if this brings back any memories of.
It's the year 2033. There's no law.
I just don't remember any promotional material for this movie at all.
And no water.
All right. Okay, so I think you get the idea of the dehydration.
And you will retrieve it. The odds of survival are 1,000 to 1.
Lots and lots of sand.
And that's just the way she likes it.
Is that the evil ball from Phantasm?
Talented, isn't she?
Hi, feeling a little inadequate?
There's a tank, there's dick jokes.
Fun to break.
I like pain.
Lori Petty.
Weird monsters, hologram face.
Did I hurt you yet?
Ice-T.
Turn this boat around or you're gonna get us all killed.
And Malcolm McDowell.
Just how many of my men did you kill?
United Artists Pictures presents.
Just say, I won.
I won.
Tank Girl.
What's it like knowing you're about to die?
You don't
Showcase the soundtrack very heavily at the end of the trailer. Smart, but also you don't really go to theaters for soundtracks that you can buy after the movie.
Right.
And I don't think the trailer really showcases that the movie is a comedy.
No. The first at least 60% of that movie looked like Stargate or something. Yeah. And leading a lot more with Malcolm McDowell than with Lori Petty too.
Which is weird. I mean, I get that he's Malcolm McDowell and
sure.
And he actually spoke fondly of the movie. He enjoyed doing it. And I think he said something that it reminded him of doing Clockwork Orange.
Clockwork Orange.
He said it had the same flavor as Clockwork Orange is what it was.
I disagree, Malcolm McDowell. But you know what? You have tasted both Clockwork Orange and you have tasted Tank Girl. If you tell me it's the same flavor, I will say sure.
I think what he means is that if you look at the character portrayal that he gives as the villain in this movie, you can see glimpses of him just like having fun as a charismatic villain again, like he did in Clockwork Orange. And so like with that in mind, I was like, okay, I can kind of see it here. Like he makes one of his henchmen take off his shoes and walk through broken glass, only to then cut to the fact that he was never wearing shoes in the first place and just walks across the broken glass for fun. So he's like a psycho the whole time.
Very, very silly. Yeah.
He has himself decapitated because he's so vain that he doesn't want his burnt face to be his face. Don't know how that works. Is his brain in a jar somewhere else and like piloting his body?
Yeah, it might be a crane situation.
I am unsure of
it might be
how
in the belly.
That works. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Did you notice with this trailer though that the line here says Tank Girl official trailer #1, Ice-T movie?
I don't know if anyone heard me groan when they said starring and then they listed Ice-T. I love Ice-T. Love him. You just covered him in Johnny Mnemonic.
I did. This is the second straight Ice-T movie. I don't know what is happening, but also guess what? Ricochet is also a movie that is probably scored low enough where I could do it on the show and get Ice-T on here again.
Nice. Yeah, I once Ice-T is my I think I'm not telling lies out of school right now. Ice-T is my biggest celebrity encounter. When I was maybe 14, I was in New York City and I had to use the bathroom. And I saw Ice-T making out with his wife,
Coco,
right outside of a New York City bathroom. And I just stopped and like stared because I was like, that's Ice-T. Oh my God. He's making out with his wife. And he saw me and just gave me like the meanest mug anyone has ever given me in my life. And then proceeded to continue to make out with his wife outside of a bathroom. And I was like, I'll never forget it. Never forget that image.
Bro.
But I love Ice-T.
I love Tank Girl.
But he is not the star of this movie.
He's not. Yeah, starring
he's like
is a generous
10 down, you know.
He's at least like 5 or lower in this movie, for sure.
Yes.
So in this movie, his name is T-Saint. In Johnny Mnemonic, his name is J-Bone. Do you happen to know what his name is in Ricochet?
S face? I don't know.
No, it's Odessa, but it is not Odessa.
Oh, okay. Got it.
I was like,
it
this
would be
is
funny if it was.
Yeah, he's like, no, I always got to have a hyphenated letter name, no matter what character I am, because they need to know that it's Ice-T here, whether I'm wearing a kangaroo prosthetic costume or not. But there's an interesting little anecdote of him going on to a hip hop interview show, and the host was making fun of him for doing this movie. And he replied, I got paid $800,000 for that movie. And the host said, okay, moving on.
Yes.
Because, I got $800,000 to play a kangaroo in a one-of-a-kind futuristic comic book movie. There's nothing to be ashamed of.
No, and I don't think that he's bad in this movie.
He's not.
Like, I don't think he's bad. It's just, you can see why they're putting Ice-T, because he's a recognizable name, and
he did an original song for the soundtrack.
Sure.
Little collabo action.
Big Shot?
Big Gun.
Big Gun.
Yeah, it plays at the end. I think it plays over the end credits, and then it's once like right at the end of the movie too. So it's like he wrote a song for this movie. Like that's a good deal when you get back end points on the soundtrack too.
Yeah. So it's just a bummer. Like if we're looking at the Rippers, it's definitely going, Booga, and then maybe DT, played by Reggie Cathy, who I think is giving the performance of this movie, quite frankly. I mean, that dude's always great. He's got such a good voice, and it's like
dance.
He's got very big
trapped in mud.
Yeah, he's got very very good principal energy, where you're just like, I'm listening to whatever you're saying, sir. But he's so good, and his are we cleared to talk spoilers?
Oh yeah, spoil away.
Yeah.
This movie turns 30 next year.
Yeah.
Spoil it up.
His death scene is great. Like his face, he's emoting through all of this makeup. I'm like, oh my god, this is so good.
Interesting story about him. He's a fan of the comic, or he was a fan of the comic, and he was initially auditioning for another character from the comic who's not in the movie, but he brought his own saxophone to the audition, and they're like, you know what, this is going to be part of your character now. And then he gets a nice little saxophone spoken word poetry solo. And at that point in the movie, Kristen wanted me to say hi to you. And also she asked if I was going to mention this, but at this scene in the movie, she looks up and she shoots me a look like, what on earth are you watching? And is this the same movie that you started?
Yeah. Great question.
And I was like, oh, is the Kangaroo Man freaking you out?
Great question. Well, hello, Kristen. I look forward to discussing the OC at some point in the future with you.
She's been brushing up.
And that's another great point of your first question of why would someone say that this is bad? Looking at that trailer, right? You've got a Stargate, maybe even a Starship Troopers possibility on your hand, where Tank Girl is way more reserved. Maybe she's wacky and weird, but she's leading, an army of Rippers / Junkers, whatever. You can see this going a totally different way. And I think the movie, like I said, it's sloppy. It takes some big turns.
Yeah. And I understand wanting to not show your hand and be like, this is what the Rippers are, because the introduction in the film, the first scene is you see some dismembered bodies, and the idea is that they're these demons that are roaming the wasteland, and you're supposed to be scared of them. So by the time that she's actually getting sent there, you have this buildup. But in the case of the trailer itself, you only see briefly the Rippers when they're in their full combat attire, which also has body armor. It has a helmet. So it's kind of Predator at that point, where you could just be like, there may be aliens, there may be just kind of some like alien soldiers or something like that. But if they were to pull off the mask in that moment and be like, no, it's a goofy, very horny kangaroo man, which they are all very, very horny kangaroo men. And some of the dialogue surrounding those kangaroo men, when the directors sort of pushing back against the studio and the studio's talking about cutting things, I'm like, was the studio not smart enough to actually pick up on some of this stuff, but only cutting very, very sexually explicit stuff? Because like you said, pedophilia still in this movie. You've got the kangaroo men talking about making the girls take their clothes off as part of their initiation. You've got the other guy who's giving them the nitrous oxide, like, hey, we can essentially date rape these girls, like this, the horniest of the kangaroo people. And I'm just like, so they left this in, but then sex with the kangaroo people was too much.
Right. Yeah. Word on the street is they did develop a nude Ripper costume, complete with a phallus. And
they did. And I'm so glad you brought that up. Because in a 1995 interview with Empire, Hewlett also revealed that a scene with Tank Girl and Booga had a 10-inch quote-unquote prosthetic cock, a $5,000 cock. It looked brilliant, he said. This whole scene was very romantic, but MGM took it out. Too bestial. We were going, it's innocent, like seeing your mom and dad in bed together. MGM disagreed. So they made a $5,000 prosthetic Ripper penis. And I guess it was meant to be showcased in like post-coital bliss. It wasn't meant to be like actively sexual.
Sure.
But do you think that prosthetic is still out there somewhere? Somebody kept it. Dan Winston's got it in his department.
Unfortunately, sometimes these prosthetic suits, they don't have a long shelf life, especially if they're not kept up. So it's possible that someone has a half rotten one somewhere.
That's less appealing. But since we're talking about the suits right now, I think it's go for it.
Well, I just want to say on that point, I truly do not understand filmmaking with like a big studio budget, because how, to make something like that doesn't just take 30 minutes, right?
There's a lot of thought and effort and design.
How are people making things that they know are not going to be approved or that are not already approved? Like, when you get your budget, do they just hand you what was this, 28 million?
Like 25, 26 million, yeah.
Do they just say, here's 25 million, let us know how it turns out? Don't you have to go and be like, all right, so I'm going to need like 600,000 for the tank, 5,000 for the naked Ripper costume, and like, whoa. Don't build that. Don't waste. We're not going to have a naked Ripper scene. Oh no, it's cool. They're going to have sex and we're going to see it afterwards. Like, no, you can't do that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not the same thing as just like, oh, on a whim, we let this person create a monologue and we filmed it. Oh, and we were there for an extra hour. Sorry, we ran over. This is like building.
This is the director going to Stan. We're going to have a sex scene. And
who approves this?
We need Ripper Dong in this movie, and you're the guy.
So I just don't understand it. I think that I should be hired, just like Elon Musk has been hired to cut out waste in the government spending. I think I should be the dude at the film studios being like, no, don't listen to them. Don't bother with that 10-inch Ripper penis. It will not be used.
Don't put me in that job, because I'm going to be like, 10-inch Ripper penis signed off on. But yeah, I get what you're saying, because it's like they're not presenting some sort of itemized cost list up front.
Well, you hear about that stuff all the time.
Yeah.
oh, we built this huge set and then it didn't get used. Why are you building sets that aren't going to get used? Like, you know, the Coens, right? They write and they edit. They write, they shoot, they edit. And so they know not to make huge elaborate sets that they shoot what they're going to use. Is there no one to prevent these things from happening and wasting so much money? Anyway, sorry.
Well, I mean, think about it like a regular job, right? You go to work, you get paid every 2 weeks. So you show up, they say Ripper Dong, you start working on it. And then after the fact, it's like, oh, well, they're not going to let us show the sex scene. I mean, that's got to be on the filmmaker for knowing that the studio wanted to cut a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, I've worked on projects at jobs before where, you know, someone said, hey, you know, we need XYZ report or we need this project, and you spend 2 weeks on it. And then at the end, they're like, we're going to go a different way. And I'm like, you just paid me to do nothing because you couldn't think ahead. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I've been there myself, but we don't need to get into like actual job stuff.
Yeah. Moving on.
Let's move on. We're talking. Well, before I move on to full on trivia, which we're going to do right after this, since we were talking about the costuming and the Ripper design. So initially, Rachel Talalay, she asks for Stan Winston, thinking, I hope so, right? Knowing that he's going to be super expensive. Obviously, as we just learned, his prosthetics are not cheap. So he actually is so interested in the project that, knowing that she's on a fixed budget, comes back and says, we're going to do everything for half price. And each one of those costumes took 4 hours to apply. The ears and the tail were operated by a puppeteer remotely with animatronics, and then the actors playing the rest of the role. So, I mean, just that alone, as someone who loves practical effects, just the effort and design that went into those characters is amazing. And in my memory, like, I'm conflating this movie with something else, but after watching it again, I'm like, no, it's not this one. There's some other movie with like a weird kangaroo-like creature in an underground environment that isn't this, but is also like a fantasy movie from probably the early 90s or late 80s. And I can't think. You're talking
about Warriors of Virtue.
Oh shit, that is the one. Thank you. My wheels were spinning on this ever since we mentioned Tank Girl previously, and I was like, no, this is not the kangaroos that I'm thinking of.
Oh man, I am always glad to be able to bring up Warriors of Virtue. My God.
That was like,
now
this
that's
little
just a bad movie
stuck in my brain for so long. But it's a bad movie that I'm like, I need to watch this again. I need to see those kangaroos. I don't even know if they are kangaroos, but they're creatures.
Yeah, different like animal type. Mudlap,
I might watch
Grillo,
that tonight.
Mentos.
Sounds fun.
I think that's one. That's one of, you know, people of a certain age, it might be like just lurking in the back of your brain. You know, maybe you saw like the cover at Blockbuster, or maybe you saw 5 seconds of it on TBS, but it's out there.
I know. I definitely watched it at one point, enough to where the memory of like the scene of them hopping around this tree is like in my head. And I'm like, I know it's there. I just can't quite get my hooks on it. So thank you so much, because now I don't have to ask the audience to like just send me movie titles until I figure it out.
But, you know, to what you're saying with Stan Winston, I think that like what the characters are and like the look of their design, I wish was a little different. Maybe just not. It's not that they're cutesy. It's just that, like, it's very, very, very well done. It's maybe just not as imaginative as it could be, or they could be a little weirder. But knowing that was all practical and that the actors are still able to like show emotion under all of the prosthetics, that is very, very impressive. I just think that like the character design could maybe be a little bit better, and all of those things would still apply. But yeah, it's great. It's just, it is kind of like Kristen said, it's like, is this the same movie? I was watching a movie about Tank Girl, and you know, her boyfriend gets killed and she's kidnapped, and now we're here in this other place.
Of all the times she chose to look up and check in on the movie, it was like right when the kangaroo's playing the saxophone at dinner.
You know, I might have to on my left upper arm, I have the Tim Capello sax man from
Lost Boys, or
from Lost Boys. Right. I have him on my other arm. I might just have to get I might just have to get the Ripper playing the saxophone from Tank Girl.
I mean, as I was watching Tank Girl, I was like, this movie is amazing in all of the ways that it so clearly wants to honor the source material and like do something different. And I was like, if I got a Tank Girl tattoo, I don't know what it would be just yet, but I like the idea of that one, so I think you should do it. I mean, you've already got one sax man on one arm. If you've got the space on the other arm, kangaroo sax man.
Yeah, why not? All
right, let's get to some trivia. Cue the audience.
Time for trivia.
All right. So the last time you were here, trivia was just trivia, just fun, just bonus info for the listeners. But now there are stakes in trivia. So,
oh boy.
Based on the number of questions that you get right, you're going to get spins on that wheel that you weren't supposed to see earlier in the show. And on that wheel are more interesting questions, hypothetical questions. Okay. Question number 1. Tank Girl co-creator Jamie Hewlett is probably more widely known as the co-founder of what virtual band?
Gorillaz.
Ding. All right. Well, you got one to start. There you go. You're off and running now. Yes. And so his 2 other film credits are actually for soundtrack contributions on. If you can name either of those 2, I'll give you bonus points. But if not, then it's okay.
One would be, well, are these Gorillaz songs?
I believe so.
Or is this music that he made for other movies?
I believe it is Gorillaz songs.
Trolls?
Oh, maybe not. Well, maybe they didn't update his IMDb.
Okay, maybe not though. I just know the Bergens in Bergentown sing a song from the Gorillaz.
Well, he probably got paid for that. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be able to answer that one.
The movies that are listed are Cloverfield and Wasabi from 2001.
Yeah, Wasabi. I'm not familiar with that one at all. And then Cloverfield, I don't remember. I don't remember music being in that movie. Cloverfield rules, though.
It's a pretty good one. Yeah, there's a. I mean, that's when it was announced that it was Gareth Edwards was doing Godzilla. I was like, okay, I trust that he can understand the assignment for a American new Godzilla movie, and he did a good job with the first one. Yeah. But speaking of musicians, obviously the soundtrack is a big deal in this movie. There's a lot of influential music that went into sort of like the design of the character in the first place and the British punk rock scene. But what famous musician was offered the role of Jet Girl but turned it down?
Bjork.
No.
Close. Oh, no. Oh, I'm sorry. Bjork was Sub Girl.
Correct.
Yes. Jet Girl. Oh, man. I don't recall.
I'll give you the bonus point for Bjork, though. And the answer I'm looking for is Courtney Love, because this was after the suicide of Kurt Cobain. She turned it down, but still contributed a song to the soundtrack.
Yeah, I know she had a big hand in arranging, the soundtrack
and Subgirl ended up being Ann Cusack. And I'm curious, like that character, according to the writers, like had a big subplot in the story and was essential. And she just basically gets a cameo. So I'm curious, because Bjork dropped out, if that was the reason why sort of like people in the know would know that it's Bjork and like understand why that role was given. But this is also the second movie that's featured Army of Me on the soundtrack with Sucker Punch, which I did with Ryan, the Chew Defense.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot of connective tissue here.
Very interesting film, Sucker Punch.
Yeah. There's the director's cut of that, though, which I heard is pretty good.
I don't know that I've cracked the code on Sucker Punch, but it's a lot. It's a lot.
It is. And I think the way I rationalized it was sort of the most unrestrained version of Zack Snyder that you could get, because he wasn't working off of an adapted property at that point.
Right.
He wasn't making a rated R movie either. I mean, he was in his head, but it ends up being PG-13. So you actually get like maybe Zack Snyder at his most unhandcuffed and free to make a movie, and Sucker Punch is what it is. So I'm really curious to see like his vision of it, but I don't know like if I'm $70 Blu-ray curious or not. So we'll see. Okay, well, let's go to third and final trivia question. Which actress was initially cast as Tank Girl but dropped out because she refused to shave her head?
Yeah, I know. I'm not going to recall her name. It's like Olivia or Lydia or something in that vein.
There's some of the letters you got right.
Yeah, I know that she's British. But I'm not great with names.
Fair enough. It was Emily Lloyd, who's probably most known for A River Runs Through It and Wish You Were Here, which I don't even think I saw that, but yeah, she was cast and she said, I don't want to shave my head. And they said, okay, goodbye. And so Lori Petty is like happy to shave her head. And I think ultimately ended up working out the way that it was supposed to. But before I stray too far from trivia, there's a little bonus trivia in that Green Day was initially supposed to be featured on this soundtrack as well. But during the production cycle for this movie, or the development, Green Day's popularity was just rapidly increasing. So by the time that it came around to actually license music from them, their price had gotten out of control. And so they are not featured on the soundtrack. Yeah, they got priced out.
Wow.
Another little... Something I found interesting is that Amblin and Columbia both turned the movie down. And lo and behold, Disney said, we will finance your movie. We'll be the backer. And it was Rachel Talalay who said, nope. He's like, you guys are going to nerf this movie and
right.
take away what the character is supposed to be. She's not like a Disney princess. So, oddly, she does sort of go to director's jail after this. She doesn't stop working, but she doesn't get to make another feature film until 2020. She goes on doing lots of TV work, lots of TV miniseries, even does some TV movies, but it's not until A Babysitter's Guide to Monster Hunting in 2020 that she got to do a feature again. So,
wow.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, I'm glad that she still worked. It wasn't just like, hey, 25 years or so in between jobs where that happens. I forget. What was the other one? Oh, it was Johnny Mnemonic, where he was like, we only wanted $1.5 million to make this movie, and you forced us to blow it up into a $30 million sci-fi epic, and we didn't want to do that. And now this is my first, last, and only movie. So sorry, Robert Longo. What? Not your fault. But I hear there is a director's cut of that as well that is only available on some of the foreign Blu-ray properties. So I'm like, crap, do I need to get like a Region B player and order a Blu-ray from Japan?
I can't remember how I came across it. It may have been through Sean Yun, the actress Sean Yun.
Oh, wow.
But right before I found out you were going to be doing Johnny Mnemonic, I stumbled upon not quite a short film by Robert Longo, 35 minutes, 1987. So it's before Johnny Mnemonic. But the cast, Michael Stipe, Ray Liotta, Richard Price, Richard Schiff, Sean Yun, Steve Buscemi, Mark Boone Jr., I'm like fascinated by it. I added it to my watch list, and yeah. So when I was looking into Johnny Mnemonic for Tank Girl, and you know, when you did Johnny Mnemonic,
yep,
I stumbled upon it again, and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that that's who the director was. But yeah, Arena Brains, and I don't know that it's available like anywhere.
Interesting. Well, there's probably someone with like a private collection that's got it, you know. So we need to get those people to band together and make a free, not quite streaming service, but get everything on one server in one place and just let the people have it. All right, so you got what, 2 trivia questions, right? Well, yeah, you got 2.
1.5.
Well, no, we're gonna call it 2 because you can't spin the wheel a halftime. Okay, so let's get over to the wheel, and you don't get to see it. I'm just going to spin it in the dark over here. And we add the sound effects later. Let's see, what is the first one you're going to get? Ooh, okay. So how do you sell Tank Girl to a first-time watcher?
Hey, do you like The Fifth Element? Hey, do you like Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Do you like Dune? Well, if you like all 3 of those movies, or maybe just one of those movies, you should check out Tank Girl. Also, good representation of, you know, some good 90s alternative music. L7 on a soundtrack is pretty awesome. And it is, I think, genuinely a good performance by Lori Petty.
It is, I think. You know, and like we talked about a little bit earlier, like this was a gamble because it's probably a not super well-known comic in the States at the time, and her stock is as high as it's ever going to be. She turned down doing Free Willy 2 because she was working on this, and she's the only character from Free Willy the original to not return for the sequel. So like that's guaranteed box office, where it's like it keeps her a star, it keeps her name on the tongues of producers and casting agents and stuff. So this was a big risk for her, but I'm glad she took it. I think she even told a friend when she learned that Emily Lloyd had gotten hired. She still told a friend, like, I'm gonna be in this movie. So she was still like all in on this project. But because you mentioned the soundtrack and we talked about it a couple of times, there's also Stomp, Devo, Magnificent Bastards, Hole, Courtney Love, Portishead, Joan Jett and Paul Westberg, Belly, Veruca Salt, and of course Ice-T. So great soundtrack. If you want to check that out, just without watching the movie. But yeah, it's like if you ever want to see a comic book come to life, maybe as true to page as you could get, you get that here too, with some actual panels from the comic. And as I learned through some of the featurettes, there was stuff that just wasn't filmed in this movie. So they drew it and animated it, and that fills in the blanks on a lot of things. And while not intentional, or at least rumored to be unintentional, I feel like that gives the movie character in a way that maybe it feels more punk to have all of a sudden just the comic panels coming to life, or like the slow pans of one of the pages, you know? So when I look back at, you know, Kill Bill, right? There's always are you a Kill Bill 1 or Kill Bill 2 guy? I always like 1 for that reason. And I feel like it's more true to what it was adapting because of that. So I've always been a Kill Bill 1 guy. And so when I look at Tank Girl and I see that it used all this stuff to help tell the story, I really feel like it does something for the movie, maybe unintentionally, but makes it better.
Yeah, I mean, hey, film works as a mixed medium. You know what I mean? Like, I think is it Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, where we get the story of the Deathly Hallows, and it just turns into a cartoon for a little bit. It's one of the most memorable parts of those 2 last movies. You know? Yeah.
I mean, movies are probably the most mixed medium. You know, I just saw Flow last night. Yeah.
Yesterday. Oh yeah. I do want to check that one out. Yeah.
So it's really cute, but no dialogue, just music and just animation. But I was like, I really want to play this game. That's how I was feeling. I was like, I want to be a cat in this world, make it happen. But you could play Stray, which is a cat-centric puzzle-solving game, basically.
There you go.
A lot of fun. Okay, well, let's go to the wheel for one final spin. And let's see. There's one on here about snacks that I feel is appropriate for you. But I'm not going to put my thumb on the scale, so...
Sure.
All right. Well, this is one that is revealing. If you could be one character in this movie, who would that be and why?
Interesting. Who would that be? Let's see here.
Like when we did this for Hook, without hesitation, Hook. I obviously want to be Hook in that movie.
Right.
This one's a little tougher, though. I don't think I know.
Like I mentioned, I think Reggie Cathy as DT. It's like I think it's the performance of the movie. He's so cool. The sax, the sax ripper. So I would say either him or Tank Girl. I personally don't have the personality for Tank Girl. Like that's just so not me at all. So
you're more like
but I think I could pull off. Maybe Jet Girl. Yeah, Jet Girl is a little bit more laid back.
Yeah, that's a good choice. He plays the saxophone. He's the leader of the Rippers. He goes out like in a big blaze of glory, heroically. That's not a bad choice at all. Yeah, it's a good one. I like that. All right, well, that's the wheel for now. So next time you come on the show, study up on trivia. I mean, you still got 2.
All right.
So
yeah,
maybe I'll have some like secondary questions where it's like, hey, if you can name A or B, then also you get extra points. I think the most questions I've ever gotten off the wheel at once is 4. So,
wow.
Yeah. But good time. So before we can do this one of 2 ways. We spun the wheel already. We've talked about some other movies that would be sort of close if you're trying to like convince somebody to watch Tango. So we can bump that. Do you want to do some word association?
Sure.
Okay. Word association. All right. So I got 5 little words or phrases for you. You got to give me the first thing that pops into your head.
Okay. I'm ready.
Desert.
I thought of a little bug.
Okay. Ripper.
River?
Ripper.
Oh, Jack the Ripper.
Scissors.
Scissor Sisters.
Pipe.
Mario.
Liquid silver.
O-Town.
Oh, my sisters loved O-Town.
Yeah, O-Town with their famous first single, Liquid Dreams.
That's right.
Which was the most insane music video and also thing to sing about.
That had to be what, like 2001 or something? Because it's right after NSYNC and Backstreet Boys had like
99, 2000. I mean, it's got to be early in the 2000s. So O-Town, if you're listening to this, they were the first group made off of Making the Band.
Correct.
And their first single, which premiered at the season finale of Making the Band, the music video for it, was called Liquid Dreams, and it is about exactly what it sounds like it's about. And it featured liquid silver, basically, like the like Terminator 2 goo turning into women and then like melting into puddles. Yeah, you got to watch the music video for it. It's weird.
I'm gonna put up a link to the music video for that in the show notes in case anybody is really psychotic and wants to see what we're talking about. Cool. Well, you made it to the end. Well, almost. Because now it's time for the gateway drug movie for Tank Girl. Because when I thought of it, you've already mentioned the first one that popped in my head, but you also know that I love that movie, which also explains probably why I like Tank Girl so much.
Yes.
So for someone who has not seen Tank Girl, who only knows of it as this horrible movie, what is a gateway drug movie to convince them to give Tank Girl a chance?
This is kind of a tough. This is a tough one. It's always tough for me to pick one movie. If someone says,
"Yeah,
give me your favorite horror movie," I will list 5 or 10.
You get one.
I know, and I'm between 3.
That's fine.
Right now,
you can give me all 3. It's okay.
Okay, so I would say, for different reasons, Howard the Duck, Buckaroo Banzai, and the Adventures Across the Eighth Dimension, which I think is a much superior film, and then the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, if you can watch the original Super Mario Brothers movie with Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo and like have fun.
Oh yeah,
I think that this is having fun in an adult way, where that one is more kid centric. This is like, we don't care about the kid audience. Boom.
Correct.
And we're doing kind of the same thing.
Yeah. And I saw it as a kid. So I sort of always just gravitated towards like the irreverent nature. The line that I remembered most from the movie was where she's doing like the blowjob innuendos in the back of the tank when she gets arrested. She's like, "Any of you boys want an oil change?" And like my child brain is like, yeah, he's going to put his penis in her mouth, and if she bites it, he's going to shoot her. Like, I'm understanding all this, but not quite from the perspective like of an adult realizing that
sure.
I'm a kid seeing this.
Right.
But looking back on the movie, like, it is very adult. It is very sexual. When she's cutting her pantyhose with the scissors in the the World War II trench, I'm like, this is hot. I can't help it. I didn't think that as a kid. Like, I didn't pick up on that.
Right. Yeah.
But I was like,
I think
it's slowed down. It's very sensual. The music that plays with it, it's all designed to be sexy.
Yeah. I think that this is a good example of like the intersection of women. Women are allowed to be either funny or sexual, and they're oftentimes not allowed to be both.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, going back 25 years, right? 20, 30 years, whatever. Yeah. And this blurs the lines of those generally accepted rules, I think, a lot. There's one sequence in this that I do find like beautiful, which is when she's taking the dust shower. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Like I just think it's shot really well.
It is.
She plays it very serious, and I think it's it's a beautiful shot.
And in another movie where that is water, it's sexualized in a very specific way. And so this movie is like smart enough to understand that those movies exist and to give us that moment. And so it's still played exactly the same way with the same kind of music. But if you're paying attention, it's like there's no water. She can't shower. So this is like a delousing shower. So it's like this, again, a very subtle, intelligent joke that maybe just doesn't work if nothing in the movie works humor wise for you.
100%. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because we didn't actually talk about that. So is there anything in this movie that you wanted to talk about that we didn't get a chance to yet?
Just is it Kessler?
Like Kesley, something like that. The villain, yes, Malcolm McDowell.
Yeah, Malcolm McDowell turning into Claw from Inspector Gadget for a little bit. His gauntlet thing, I guess, shoots out blowtorch flames, maybe, and he can just like cut through steel,
block bullets.
I don't know that. I like Tank Girl doesn't have superpowers, right? Nope. And so I don't know that like your supervillain needs superpowers.
That's fair. He could just be an evil businessman.
Yeah, like it's just funny that it's like Malcolm McDowell, who, I mean, acted well past 1995, but it's like here's this like older dude who's just half what's the word?
Hologram
claw guy. It's very silly.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be even weirder if it's like he walked around without a head for a lot of the movie until they figured out how to get the hologram working. If his brain was in a jar and he's just sort of piloting his body. That's why I'm like, maybe there was some stuff that was cut out. But yeah, it's a wild movie. I really hope that as it's getting a little bit older and that sort of the audience response to it has gotten better over time, that it maybe does enter into reappraisal territory to the point where if there is lost footage and there is a director's cut of this movie, that we might get to see it because, 30-year anniversaries are big, sort of releases connected to that are big. So if some like boutique label wanted to do some sort of release in conjunction with that, maybe it starts here, because after we did the Sucker Punch episode, all of a sudden there's an article that pops up about Zack Snyder wanting to get his director's cut released for Sucker Punch. So if anybody that knows anybody that worked on Tank Girl that wants to see it get the love that it deserves, tell them that this show exists and that there is an audience for the director's cut of Tank Girl. I promise you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's dozens of us, but maybe more. Maybe.
Oh yeah, I would love to see. Again, like how much of this movie. Look, when something goes wrong, it's very easy to be like, it was the studio's fault.
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm very curious to see how much of that is true.
Of the movies where I was like, hey, use the hotline. Let me know if you got thoughts on Tank Girl. This is the movie where people said, hey, I have some thoughts on Tank Girl. So if that tells you anything, it tells you that there's people out there that love this movie and that want to see it succeed. But before I forget, we've got one final nail to put in the coffin of Tank Girl love, and that's Critics Corner. Ding ding. We get a 46 Metascore to start us off, and I imagine these are all going to be very, very rough, horrible things to be said about this movie. So we start at the bottom, as we always do, with a 30, but we've got 3 30s, so you get to pick which one you want to hear. We've got Time Out with no name attached to it. We've got the Los Angeles Times and the Washington Post.
Time Out. Yeah, I would like to hear that.
Time Out. All right. Generous souls may try to blame this travesty of the Deadline comic strip on the studio execs who forced director Talalay to tone down and re-edit her cut. But what remains of Petty's anodyne sexless heroine and the dull episodic live action sequences suggest we may have been spared something worse even than this movie.
Oh, I disagree, but okay.
That's why nobody put their name on that. They said, I am going to anonymously shit on this movie, but not to the point where
I don't think Petty's the problem here.
She's definitely not.
Yeah, I don't think Petty's the problem. Petty's the juice.
She is. So maybe they just wanted more juice. They wanted like all the juice.
Yeah, they wanted the juice to be loose.
Yeah. Okay, let's go. Let's see. Okay, we got 2 40s. So TV Guide magazine or Variety.
TV Guide magazine, you said?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's do that one.
Of course, we
Screw
have to.
Variety. Yeah.
Who wants to hear from an outlet as notable as Variety when you've got TV Guide magazine?
Not me, ever.
All right. Well, TV Guide magazine gave it a 40. Also, not credited. How well you'll tolerate this utterly unhinged, quasi-feministic comic book fantasy depends on your Lori Petty threshold. As the title character, a smart-ass riot girl who rolls through a fanciful post-apocalyptic landscape in a tank, occasionally pausing to snuggle and bicker with her mutant kangaroo boyfriend, in parentheses, Ice-T, in other parentheses, you are wrong. Dash, Petty's on-screen virtually nonstop, and her hyperkinetic mugging, jerking, whining, and sassing wears thin after a while. So this is a person who's like, I cannot stand the character.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah, like, look, I don't love The Mask, right? So I understand that. Like, I completely understand. If you go into The Mask and you don't love The Mask, you're not going to like it. So, yeah.
You would probably like the Mask comic, though, because it's not what the movie is.
No, yeah. From what I've heard, it's a much more tragic affair.
Yeah, I think if there was a movie version of that, there'd be an audience, and it would be so different than the Jim Carrey one that I don't think you'd have to worry about any like.
But you know what though?
Stepping on toes.
People would be mad now.
True,
because they'd say, "Oh, they're doing a gritty reboot of The Mask." And like, actually, no, they did a stupid reboot of The Mask to begin with. That was the original.
Yeah, fair enough. And yes, to the uncredited TV Guide magazine writer, her boyfriend kangaroo is Jeff Korber, I think, who is Booga. Ice-T is not the boyfriend kangaroo. He is the very grumpy kangaroo.
Yeah, he's the opposite of her boyfriend.
Yeah,
he doesn't want her around.
Okay, well, we've got Roger Ebert on the board, so we have to read him. I did preface this earlier in the show with the fact that he put this on his worst of 1995 list, but Roger gave it a 50. So in his book, one of the worst movies of the year was a 2 out of 4 star movie for him. So there's something to be said for that. And he gives it
pretty good. I mean,
all of one sentence. Whatever the faults of Tank Girl, lack of ambition is not one of them. Which is
true.
So much nicer than what he actually said on the episode with Siskel. Raj.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
It's all right. We like Raj here. Okay, so 260s on the board. Empire or New York Times?
New York Times.
This is Janet Maislin. She had some unkind words, but her score still higher than Roger's. She said, since this is thoroughly tongue-in-cheek, Tank Girl has a likable brashness, even when breathless. Pointless plotting threatens to eclipse the movie's charms. Chief among its strong points is Lori Petty, a buzz-cut fashion plate in a Prozac necklace, who brings the necessary gusto to Tank Girl's flippancy.
Yeah, sounds like a good review to me.
That's what I think. But the pull quote that I saw from Janet Maislin separate from this was like critical of sort of how Tank Girl's not quite like really a feminist hero because it's all just like sort of the same retreading of like classic heroes that her boyfriend dies and the girl is taken. So it's like her moral compass doesn't ever challenge the audience, where like the comic book character is a lot more morally ambiguous. But this movie has to appeal to people that didn't read the comics like me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to take it home with another Chicago source. This is Jonathan Rosenbaum from the Chicago Reader. He gave it a 70. It says Lori Petty does a nice job in the title role of this enjoyable 1995 feature based on the post-apocalyptic SF comic book and set in the year 2033. It's basically aimed at teenagers, though it's a lot more feminist than what usually passes for adult fare. And I think in 1995, that's fairly accurate still.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, if you go back, you can't always expect a lot to line up with today from
And I
30
don't.
years prior, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it feels like movies like this that are from like the 90s to 2000s range are really under a lot of scrutiny for this. And then when you go back to like the 60s and before, it's like, no, those are just movies from that time and we don't hold them to today's standards. So I don't know why. I don't know like what the number of decades is that has to pass before you just let it go. It's like, well, I was alive then, so I still have to like be upset about it now.
I guess like all I would say is, you know, go back to Shrek is Love's comment about being radicalized by this movie. You know, I mean, I watched this movie as a kid too, and I didn't sit around pondering if Tank Girl was a feminist. I knew she was a feminist because she was a woman on screen kicking butt.
Yeah. Shooting guns, winning, beating up the bad guy.
When it gets into the nitty gritty and the gray areas, you know, and we're not making huge brushstrokes anymore. Yeah, there might be some big areas where this movie falters, but I think overall, you know, stepping forward, you have to make steps. And as any parent knows, kids stumble a lot as they're learning to walk. You don't, you know, kick them while they're down or say, nope, that's enough. You can stop now. You wait until they learn to walk, and it's just the way it is.
It is. Before we leave Critics Corner completely, I know you're a Letterboxd guy.
Mm-hmm.
I hear it. You're a 0.5-star, 3-star, 5-star guy. But
yes.
I'm not going to do that here. But as I was looking at Letterboxd, I was like, I can't leave without reading a couple of these.
Mm-hmm,
so I'm just going to go through a couple. This is from The Masked Negro. 2-star review. Said, I saw this movie when I was 7. The only thing I remember was being really confused and wondering if Tank Girl fucked that kangaroo. I'm 29 now, and I now realize she did. She did fuck that kangaroo.
It's been a long journey, but you made it.
Sounds like better than a 2-star review to me, but 2 stars it is. We're going to go to Zara, who gave it 4 stars at least. She said, when Jet Girl blew the smoke away from her gun was one of the hottest fucking things I've ever seen. Probably like the one like Naomi Watts moment in the movie where she shows some attitude and, you know, actually takes action for a change. She's pretty like passive and along for the ride the rest of it.
Like I said, I didn't know it was her. I couldn't. It was insane.
And the last one is from Harley Bear, 4 stars. Says, I could masturbate to Lesbian Dune.
This is, I mean, I said it earlier, the Dune thing.
Yeah.
You know, you literally have harvesting like water and blood from people.
You do.
I loved that little click, 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 click thing that like pops out.
It's one of the, I think, the best, like, easiest, most understandable set pieces. They never explain what it is. They just let it do its thing, and it happens. And it reminds me of that Batman movie where like they dehydrated the Senate or something like that. I forgot. It was like, and then they're all just like, just put some water on that pile of sand and it'll turn back into this guy. And I totally thought that was realistic at the time. So yeah, I mean, these are the kinds of Letterboxd reviews that I want to read on my show because they're not really reviews, but they are fun.
It's one of my favorite things from doing the show for the last 2 years is wading through 0.5-star reviews for the greatest movies that have ever been made, alongside some of the movies that we've done that are not, you know, in that pantheon of films. And just realizing that nothing means anything. Anybody can say and type anything. You can go on and say The Godfather, terrible, horrible, whatever, and press post, and it doesn't mean anything. So
it doesn't. And I think
instead of infuriating me, it's actually calmed me down. Like I'm like, oh, this doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know. It's been interesting, and when I've covered some like really bad movies that Metascore just has not logged any critic scores for, I'm like, well, I got to pull these reviews from somewhere. So it's like I parse a little from Letterboxd and a little from Rotten Tomatoes, and I just like mix them together so I can cover sort of like a 1 through 5 rating system.
Yeah.
So that I can sort of have the same appeal as, but with Letterboxd, it's a lot of people that just aren't critics. Like, one of these reviews right here, 4.5 stars, just says Bjork. Bjork's not in the movie.
No, but the song is.
Yeah. Another one is a 4-star review with the fire emoji. I mean, there's fire in them. Yeah, but there you go.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. Well, we've reached the end of the desert. We found water. I don't know that you could drink human water immediately. It feels like it needs to be desalinated. But that being said, what are you working on? Where can people find you? Let us know.
Well, I host a podcast with my friend Michelle. It's called Movie Friends. And we're about to enter our 3rd year, which is crazy to me. Very, very crazy. When we first started, we kept saying 6 months. Let's do it for 6 months and see.
It flies.
And if after 6 months, no one is listening, then we can stop and no one will care. But yeah, we're about to launch our new show format for season 3. We got a new theme song coming.
Oh, really?
Got, yeah. You might have something to do with it. I don't know.
Maybe.
And this month we're doing all holiday movies. We're doing a whole month of patron picks, so everyone who's part of our Patreon got to submit movies and voted on them. And it's cool. It's I don't want to say what it is. I mean, who knows when this episode, I don't even know when this episode will come out, but
2 weeks, Monday before the Christmas weekend.
All right, then it doesn't matter. I'll just say it. Like the movies that were all picked, they're all holiday movies, but in a way it's like adjacent kind of. So
Smart.
A theme emerged through democracy, which I always love to see. And you can find us everywhere. Movie Friends Podcast. You can find me on Twitter at Sethy, OHSETHY. And the show is on Blue Sky. I'm not. I'm just going to keep it to 1 for now. And that's about it.
I'm finally back on Blue Sky. The show is not. The shows, plural, are not. So
it's the worst having like,
oh my God, I need a social media
and then
manager,
when you have
but
conversations with yourself, it's like
too much.
The show will post a comment, or the show will post something and then someone will comment on it, and then you'll comment as yourself because that's what you're logged in under. And it's like, I hate it. I hate it. So if everything collapses and Blue Sky is the new place, I'm just gonna be Movie Friends, 1 account. I can't do this anymore.
I just talked to our friend Michael Lewis today about that very thing.
Uh-huh.
Shout out, Michael. If you made it to the end of the episode, as promised, I'm dedicating this episode to you because he too said, I love Tank Girl. And I said, wow, it only took 80 episodes for you to actually find a movie on this show that you really, truly love. And I was like, you know what, though? 1 out of 80 is not that bad.
Hey, it's not bad. Not bad. That's our theory over at Movie Friends is we need to pump out as many episodes as possible, because if someone finds your show and they like it, even if you're doing popular movies or whatever, you can scroll. I do it all the time. I'll find a new movie podcast I like, and I just scroll through it and I'm like, oh, I haven't seen that yet. Not going to listen. Haven't seen that yet. Not going to listen. So it's definitely a numbers game. You want to provide as many opportunities for people to listen, unless you're Michael Lewis, which he'll just listen to everything. And that drives me nuts. You're crazy, Michael.
Yeah. Well, there was one day where he listened to like 10 hours worth of the show, or at least said that he had listened. I was like, how are you listening to that much?
Oh, that's too much.
I mean, look, if I'm keeping him laughing, that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
If anybody that listened to this enjoyed laughing with us, Seth and I also have a show called X Friends, which does not have a Blue Sky. It barely has an Instagram or a Twitter. It's getting there, but I'm behind because there's only one of me and there's a lot of shows, and each show needs its own artwork, its own post, its own identity. It's a lot of stuff. It's a good show, though. I think you and I both enjoyed the X-Men animated series enough to where really when I listen back to those episodes, I'm like, we're talking about like the philosophy of X-Men and like the core tenets of the characters. It's not just like, hey, here's what happened in episode 1. So it's not a recap show in the sense that, oh, here we just watched it. Here's how we're feeling about the plot points that happened. Like we do, of course, talk about the plot, but a lot of it is really about the identity of the show more so than any of that. And our friend Kevin out in Ireland has listened to the show and he's echoed that it's good. So I think as we head into season 2, eventually at some point, you know, maybe because it wasn't an episodic breakdown of each episode at the time of airing, it didn't get the same kind of traction it would have. So maybe we try to do that this time around.
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe
we'll be a little bit better about it. But yeah, it's a good show. And if you like listening to either Nick or myself or both of us, definitely check it out because it's more a launching point, which I think is what good art does. It doesn't just necessarily draw attention to itself, but it draws attention to yourself and what's inside, and then it also projects out into the world. And yeah, it's a good little series. And the show is fun too. If you haven't watched the episodes, it's quick, you know.
Yeah, the episodes are half an hour to 45 minutes at the longest.
Yeah.
I think our shortest episode is 20 something minutes. And then the finale episode, we did a little over an hour. And then when I interviewed Guy Augustini, who plays Sunspot, that was like about an hour because we had a very fixed time limit. So it's not like this show where sometimes I ramble on, but I've been really good lately about getting this show under an hour and a half, or at least under an hour 45. Sometimes once the intro and outro are on there, it's like it's crept over 140. I'm like, damn it, almost did it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's our sweet spot too. It's like if I can get it 126 to 130,
right?
I'm happy.
Cool. Well, congratulations on heading into the start of season 3. I'm staring down the barrel of season 4, and I'm like, I barely have January planned. I'm already like, February is set. What's going on with January? So
that's funny. We literally have, I think, up through November. Yeah, we have up through November planned as of now. So I know what we'll be talking about.
Yeah. Well, that's the
months
benefit
and months from now
of having a partner, because you can hold each other accountable. For me, I'm like, what do I feel like doing next month?
Right.
You know who I like? Dolph Lundgren. We're going to do Dolph Lundgren movies all month long. And then
shout out to Dolph.
Yeah. The day after the last episode of Lundgren Calling.
Amazing.
Dolph Lundgren announces that he's cancer free. And I was like,
amazing.
The show didn't do that, obviously, but putting love and good vibes out into the world, I think, whether you really believe in it or not, I don't think there's much of a downside to it. So I'm not going to take credit, obviously, for healing his cancer, but I'm going to take credit for showing Dolph love while he was going through it. I didn't even know he was going through that at the time. I was just like, you know what? Something about the universe is telling me that it is time to do a Dolph Lundgren month. And I did it. And now he's cancer free. And it's awesome.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. You don't take credit, but you take part in the celebration.
Oh, know? Absolutely. Yeah.
You're riding the wave.
That's right. The wave of Dolph Lundgren, who was also in Johnny Mnemonic. Like he's so ingrained in my movie history that couldn't quit Dolph. Like he just kept on coming and came back as Robot Jesus. So,
yep.
Cool. All right. Well, it's been nice chatting with you, man. Say hi to Gene. Say hi to Michelle. Tell Michelle she needs to bring a bad movie to this show. I know she's busy. She's got stuff to do, but
oh, she would love to.
Yeah. Tell Michelle. Tell her to bring a movie and we can talk about a movie that's got unexpected cats.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, thanks, man. Thanks for having me on. And
thanks for being here.
You know, like I said, if Judge Dredd ever comes calling, I'll be the Rob Schneider to your Sylvester Stallone.
Well, I may call upon you. Be the Armand Asante to my Sylvester Stallone.
Yes.
I may call on you for that because Felicia's partner, Dara, who has been on the show with me a couple of times, when he gave me like the list of movies that he wants to do, like he's an actual fan of the Judge Dredd comics. And so I was like,
oh, sure.
He loved it because he had to more so than because like he wanted to, I think. Plus, he's got a bunch of other movies that he already claimed. So if I need to like parse that out, maybe I'll do a Sylvester Stallone month. I don't know. We'll see.
Sure.
But definitely maybe a superhero type thing, which that would fit with too. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I only plan a month in advance, so I'll let you know.
Right.
Cool. Well, have yourself a good night, sir. And thank you again for being on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks to Seth for coming back on the show and volunteering to step in and take on Tank Girl with me. If you want to hear Seth talking about mostly better movies, make sure to check out the Movie Friends podcast that he does with his co-host, Michelle. And if you like listening to Seth and I talk, make sure that you check out the X Friends podcast. Just look for X-Friends wherever you get your podcast, but I'm going to put that stuff up in the show notes for you. The next episode on deck is going to be the Christmas special talking about Untamed Heart, but after that, we'll return and we'll close out Dystopian December with Barb Wire. It's going to be amazing. You're not going to want to miss that one. And of course, thank you to everyone who took the time to listen to this episode. I know you have a lot of choices when it comes to podcasts, and I appreciate you spending your time with us. I hope you enjoyed the show, and if you do, please consider leaving a rating and a review and telling a friend about it. And the support page is live over at ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/badmovieswelove. I'd also love to hear from you. So if you have a bad movie you love and or would like to be a guest on the show, you can contact me directly at badmovieswelove@theshice.com or badmovieswelove on Twitter and Instagram. And that's love spelled L-U-V. Until next time, take care, be well, and have fun however you get your movies.